It's time to rewrite our history. Amazing archaeological finds that cannot be explained. Hello. You are on the NSK Show channel. Don't forget to like and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Mysterious rock drawings. The Department of Archaeology in the Indian state of Chhattisgarh decided to seek help from American and Indian aerospace agencies. Archaeologists turned to them to determine the origin of rather strange rock drawings found in the Bastar region. This was reported by the Indian publication The Time of India, which published photos of the findings. Researchers were most surprised by the fact that the drawings, found in different caves of the region, have much in common with the appearance attributed to aliens in science fiction or in eyewitness accounts who claim to have seen them. Local archaeologist Rajid Bhagat stated that the rock drawings might indicate that the inhabitants of this area in the distant past saw, or at least imagined beings from other planets. However, the Department of Archaeology in India does not have experts in this field, so they had to seek help from foreign experts. The fact is that there is an oral legend among the local tribes about a small people. This story greatly attracts the attention of researchers because it is very similar to an alien abduction case. According to legend, there was a tribe in ancient times that usually came to this region on flying objects, always taking one or two locals with them. People who were abducted never returned home. This legend fully corresponds to theories suggesting prehistoric human contact with an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Bhagat also stated that looking at the images of these strange figures, it seems that they carry some kind of weapon. Their faces are not very clear or detailed. More precisely, they have no noses or mouths. On some rock drawings, one can see some kind of spacesuits or costumes. The archaeologist also noted that human imagination is very developed. However, the strong resemblance of these rock drawings to images of aliens found in popular culture is the first instance where researchers discover millennia-old rock drawings with humanoid figures or objects resembling modern technology. For example, the ant people of the Hopi tribe, one of the most striking rock drawings of alien beings. Strange mummy. Specialists involved in extraterrestrial civilizations have taken an interest in an incredible event. During excavations in Egypt, a highly unusual mummy was discovered, which baffled scientists. What intrigued researchers about the mummy is that it looks exactly like the classic humanoid from a science fiction movie. According to preliminary data from experts, the alien was buried alongside representatives of ancient civilizations. It is not entirely clear, however, how this alien ended up on Earth. Archaeologists believe that the found mummies were buried around the year 323 BC. They emphasize that the human remains were preserved exceptionally well. Moreover, such good preservation gives scientists the opportunity to take DNA samples for analysis to determine the true origin of the mummified creature resembling humanoids. At this moment, specialists do not want to announce any hypotheses about the supposed alien, as the verdict of the analysis of biomaterial particles has not yet been received. Message from Mars. In the summer of 1908, in the vicinity of the Cowichan Valley on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, a very strange event occurred. When Willie McKinnon, the 14-year-old son of Mr. Angus McKinnon, was working in his father's garden around 11 o'clock in the morning, a meteorite about 25 centimeters in diameter fell next to him. The object buried itself 2.5 meters underground. Fortunately, Willie was not harmed by the meteorite's fall. He immediately contacted his father to tell him what had happened. When his father arrived at the scene and unearthed the extraterrestrial object, he was astounded. The perfectly round meteorite was like marble, and something resembling hieroglyphs were inscribed on its still hot surface. This astonishing story was published on the front page of the newspaper on September 5, 1908, under the headline, "Message from Mars." Since this strange incident occurred, Mr. McKinnon spent much of his life trying to decipher the strange markings on the mysterious stone. However, the odd space rock apparently was never properly studied, as to this day, no research work on it has been found. Currently, its exact location is unknown, and the Cucina Wonderstone remains an unexplained mystery with no answers to this day. But what could it be? Were the hieroglyphs really inscribed on the meteorite? Or was the whole story fabricated from the start? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below this video. The riddles of the Aral Sea. After the Aral Sea dried up, remnants of an ancient temple were found at its bottom. Archaeologists who arrived at the discovery site determined that this structure dates back to the 11th to 14th centuries AD. Strangely enough, it is a replica of the Yasawi Mausoleum in Turkestan. Near the discovered temple, burial grounds of warriors were found. Workshops for making ceramics for construction and domestic needs were also found. Scientists believe that this temple, once erected, belonged to the Oghuz people. According to one scholar, Professor Abulay Idasov, only a small part of the city has been found to this day, with the rest still underwater. This expedition was organized in 2000. Unfortunately, the expedition ran out of funds and scientists had to halt all their research. They only managed to work for one season. However, a remarkable discovery was made shortly thereafter. In 20 kilometers from the discovered temple mausoleum, local residents found the remains of an entire ancient city on the dried-up floor of the Aral Sea. The scattered remains of people and livestock were also found, indicating that they perished within a relatively short period. Moreover, this demise was sudden, and there was no one to bury them. It turns out that the Aral Sea is not drying up, and it is not a sea or a salt lake at all, but rather the consequences of flooding. About 500 years ago, this territory was dry land where some civilization thrived. What do you think? The beauty aged 800 million years. Once upon a time, there were heated debates surrounding the discovery of the Teasel Princess. Some dismissed it as a fake, while others insisted on its authenticity. Then, this story simply faded away. Meanwhile, the find could potentially prove the existence of an entirely different civilization, life, and people. But let's start from the beginning. During mining operations in the area of the Rajavchik settlement in the Tesul region, miners working at a depth of 72 meters discovered a strange elongated object about 1 meter wide and several meters long. It resembled a sealed box. They struggled to extract it, realizing it was a massive marble coffin. It took them several days to open it, but it was worth it. Inside, they found a young woman, tall, beautiful, with open blue eyes and delicate skin. Her chestnut red hair was neatly trimmed and her nails were well groomed. She was immersed in a transparent, bluish liquid and appeared asleep rather than dead. She wore a knee-length dress with a floral pattern. At the head of the coffin lay a strange device resembling modern mobile phones. The coffin remained open for about half a day, and the entire village flocked to see the beauty from the underground. Then a helicopter from the district center arrived with all possible services. It proved very difficult to load the coffin inside, so they decided to drain the liquid to facilitate the task. However, the body immediately turned black, becoming an ordinary old corpse. The substance was returned, and the body returned to its former state before everyone's eyes. A few days later, a professor arrived in the village and lectured to the astonished locals about how the discovery completely overturns all notions of history. Radiocarbon dating showed that the Tesul Princess, as she was called, was buried in the Carboniferous period of the Paleozoic era, millions of years before the appearance of dinosaurs, long before the formation of coal on the planet. Our planet was then exclusively a realm of plants. The coffin gradually merged into the ground and, without access to oxygen, merged with the monolithic coal seam. Unfortunately, the formula for the magical liquid could not be deciphered. However, genetic analysis of the body showed complete similarity to modern humans. In other words, there was no mention of an extraterrestrial version. Soon after the discovery of the noblewoman, the area was surrounded by the military, who completely dug up and buried everything with soil. Some truth seekers tried to insist on the disclosure of the data. One even wrote to the Central Committee of the Communist Party. But when all 6 miners who discovered the body died in subsequent years, allegedly in car accidents, the others decided that life was more valuable and remained silent forever. Although locals whispered that other similar graves had been found in the area, the bodies were extracted and taken away, and the pits were carefully filled and camouflaged. I understand it all sounds extremely fantastic, but let's imagine that tomorrow our civilization disappears. A very, very long time passes, and a new life emerges. Silbury Hill. Silbury Hill is one of the largest burial mounds in all of Europe, located in Wiltshire County, England. This hill has remained a real mystery for most scientists for many years. Its shape resembles a giant truncated cone, with a height of 40 meters and a diameter of 152 meters. Just imagine, if you estimate the labor of those who built this mysterious structure, it would amount to no less than 15 million person-hours. Some archaeologists speculate that the mound has a direct connection to the Egyptian pyramids and serves as a tomb. Others believe that Silbury Hill is the most majestic mausoleum, and perhaps some religious ceremonies were even held there. Yet, some researchers, during their excavations, found nothing but the expected sensation, as besides one mound made of soil and peat, they found nothing else. Since no traces of ancient burial were found inside, the purpose of its construction remains a big mystery to this day. By the way, there is another interesting theory proposed by researcher Moses Coatsworth, who believed that the mysterious Silbury Hill was a sundial, determining the seasons, and another secret of the mound is the periodically appearing famous crop circles in the fields. The nature of this phenomenon also remains unsolved to this day. The Tibetan Dropa stones. In 1938, a group of archaeologists led by Chi Pu-te discovered a large number of caves on the border of China and Tibet in the Bayan Karaula Mountains. Inside these caves, they found ancient tombs containing the remains of strange beings with elongated skulls, as well as unusual stone discs resembling gramophone records. These stones were circular, about 1 centimeter thick, and approximately 30 centimeters in diameter. Moreover, each of them had a small hole in the center, and mysterious inscriptions covered the entire surface. Although decoding them was partially successful, some aspects remained elusive. It is said that these discs contained information about a UFO crash that occurred 12,000 years ago, right in the area of this mountain range. The beings traveling on it called themselves Dropa and noted that they could not repair their apparatus and were forced to remain living on Earth. Later, the investigations of this professor were declared a hoax, and all evidence was simply destroyed. Only in the mid-1960s did the discussion about the Dropa stones resurface. After further scrutiny, it was found that no one had disposed of the mysterious discs. Instead, they were found to be charged with electrical energy and contained a large percentage of metal and cobalt. However, at this stage, the study was once again suspended, and the stones were forgotten. In modern times, an Austrian engineer in one of China's museums photographed 2 discs that incredibly resembled the Dropa stones. After these photos were published online, the mysterious stones seemed to dissolve into the museum walls. As you can imagine, this significant mystery remains unsolved for everyone. The Inga Stone, Brazil. The mighty Inga Stone in Brazil is rightfully considered one of the most significant archaeological monuments on our planet. It undoubtedly carries a tremendous amount of intrigue and mystery. To be more specific, this stone is located in the small town of Inga, on the bank of the river of the same name. The main composition of the stone is the rock type gneiss. Regarding its size, the total area of the monument is approximately 250 square meters, with a length of 46 meters, and it stands almost 4 meters high. Another notable feature is that it is not a single stone, but consists of several stones. On the front side, one can see mysterious hieroglyphs, the meanings of which have eluded even the greatest scholarly minds for many centuries. In addition to inscriptions, the stone also features images of people, animals, and fruits. Some scientists speculate that all the hieroglyphs might have been made by natives who lived here before the 18th century, but these guesses have not been officially confirmed. Viking Cemetery and Burial Ship, Norway. Not long ago, in the southeastern part of Norway, a 20-meter Viking burial ship was discovered under a mound. This information was released on the website of the Norwegian Institute for Cultural Heritage. Scientists report that the find was made using a special technique, namely a particular type of ground-penetrating radar. This technology allowed scientists to fully assess the scale of the ship and its shape without conducting further excavations. And imagine, even time has not affected this artifact, and its lower part remained intact. Speaking of the burial site, archaeologists assure that it is located on agricultural land, in the area of the mound, directly beneath which the ship was found. Interestingly, the Norwegian Institute for Cultural Heritage also reports that archaeologists have found traces of 8 other mounds in the area, but what lies beneath them remains unknown. The Copper Scroll of Qumran. The Copper Scroll is part of an unusual collection of first-century documents known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were first discovered in the caves of Qumran. One might ask, what makes it special? It stands out as an anomaly among the others, having nothing in common with them. Everything about the Copper Scroll is different: its genre, language, script, authorship, and narrative style. Many scholars believe that this artifact was placed among the other ancient documents at a completely different time. It is now housed in the Jordan Museum in Oman, and it was found on March 14, 1952, at the very end of the Third Qumran cave. Interestingly, the metal scroll could not be unrolled using conventional methods. Because of this, it had to be cut into 23 strips, then restored to its original form. Unlike other scrolls that contained some literary works, the Copper Scroll listed 64 potential locations where boundless treasures could be found. And yes, some scholars have calculated their approximate value and converted it into our monetary equivalent, amounting to $1 billion. Now, let's listen to a small fragment from this scroll. 42 talents lie beneath the stairway in the salt pit. 65 gold bars are on the third terrace in the cave of the old house of Shai. 70 talents of silver are contained in ancient vessels located in the burial chamber's cistern in the courtyard of Mitah. 15 cubits from the front of the eastern gates is this cistern. 10 talents are in the cistern's channel. 6 silver bars are placed on the sharp edge of a rock located beneath the eastern wall in the cistern. The entrance to the cistern is under a large stone threshold. Dig 4 cubits in the northern corner of the pool, which is east of the gate. There will be 22 talents of silver coins. Despite the artifact being dated between 25 AD and 100 AD, scientists have been unable to determine to which ancient civilization it might have belonged. But perhaps what intrigued them most was not where all these hidden treasures came from, but where they are now. Many search expeditions have been conducted, yet all have been fruitless. And, as they say, it was quite a challenge, even with the specified locations, since the places were described as if they were written for people who would know the area well. To this day, the secret of the Copper Scroll remains unsolved. The genetic disk of Colombia. In Colombia, archaeologists discovered a completely unique and unusual object, which was later named the genetic or embryological disk. It depicts the stages of life from sperm to embryo development. It weighed 2 kilograms and had a diameter of 27 centimeters. After examination at the Museum of Natural History in Vienna, it was revealed that the disc was made of a rare stone called ledate, but its approximate age could not be determined. As for the images on the artifact, scientists proposed 2 versions. According to the first, the front and back of the disc depict the stages of human embryo development. However, according to the second, the stone likely shows the evolution of life from amphibians to humans. This is also a contentious situation because none of the ancient tribes inhabiting this region had such images. For quite some time, experts from Colombia's Archaeological Committee have been puzzled over whether to recognize the genetic disk as a valuable artifact, or is it, albeit high quality, still a forgery? Despite this statement, most scholars still believe in its authenticity. That's why they continue to search for any evidence. The Grobovetsky sword. And finally, let me tell you about a recent sensational discovery that has stirred the entire scientific community. In one of the limestone quarries, workers found an unusual metallic object. It turned out to be a genuine sword, remarkably well preserved. This find is dated back to 400 BCE. The artifact is strikingly beautiful due to the ornamentation on its hilt. However, the spectrographic analysis yielded incredibly surprising results: 10% copper, 5% magnesium, and 85% aluminum. But how could this be? It's commonly believed that aluminum in its pure form was first obtained only in 1825 by the Danish scientist Hans Christian Ørsted. Consequently, a perfectly logical question arises. If the sword's age is accurate, where could the blacksmith have obtained aluminum? It's entirely unclear. So, who knows? Perhaps ancient civilizations were not at all inferior to modern humanity in terms of technology, and might have even surpassed it. Petroglyphs in Maharashtra, India. Not long ago, archaeologists in the Indian state of Maharashtra discovered rock paintings that greatly intrigued them. The approximate age of these artworks is around 10,000 years. But what's most interesting is that science doesn't even speculate which ancient civilization they could belong to. However, local residents of the state provided a small clue, mentioning that these sites are considered sacred. In this territory, there are 52 villages, but only the population of 5 of them knew anything about these mysterious petroglyphs. It must be acknowledged that what surprised specialists the most was the diversity of themes, shapes, and depicted figures on the rocks. These included precise geometric shapes, mysterious representations of fauna, and, of course, humans themselves. Scientists are certain that Indian petroglyphs are the oldest of their kind on Earth. And although the scientific community lacks exact answers on this matter, they still speculate that the drawings could have been created by a prehistoric society of hunters and gatherers familiar with agriculture. Giant footprints in the rocks, Africa. If you think you or someone you know has big feet, think again. A truly enormous human footprint was discovered in southern Africa, in Swaziland. Skeptical individuals immediately claimed that it would be impossible to leave such a mark on a vertical surface. Therefore, they dismissed the theory of a prehistoric giant right away. However, scientists were able to prove that 200 million years ago, several tectonic plate shifts occurred in this area, which likely led to the uplift of a previously horizontal section. Moreover, experts believe that the excellent preservation of the footprint's shape is due to the giant stepping on cooled magma. However, a recent hypothesis suggests that the giant print could also have been a specimen of prehistoric art. The aluminum artifact in Aiud, Romania. Not far from the Romanian city of Aiud in 1974, a mysterious metal object was discovered. Scientists lean towards the idea that this artifact has a man-made origin since it didn't resemble the bone of any prehistoric animal or geological fossil. Strangely enough, any studies of the find were halted for 20 years, and it wasn't until 1995 that they were resumed. Chemical analysis showed that the object is composed of almost 89% aluminum. This is incredibly unlikely since this metal is not found in nature in its pure form. To create an alloy with such a frequency, technologies only available in the 19th century would have been necessary. The only thing that has been definitively established is the age of the find, estimated to be around 400 years. However, the geological layer surrounding it is much older, dating back 20,000 years. This indicates one thing: it was the Pleistocene epoch. Yet, the true origin of the Aiud artifact remains a mystery. Rongo tablets. Easter Island is famous for its giant statues crafted by the local inhabitants, but it appears that this society also had a highly developed level of culture, as evidenced by their script. Even modern linguists have been unable to decipher the mysterious artifact consisting of tablets inscribed with the Rapa Nui script of that era, which have survived to the present day. Currently, there are 25 such wooden tablets, known as Rongo. It remains unclear whether the symbols on the Rongo are individual letters or complete syllables. However, there is a hypothesis suggesting that the tablets might contain information about the lunar calendar and the number of months in a year. Not all scholars agree with this theory. Nonetheless, efforts to decipher them continue to this day. Mysterious sarcophagi in the underground Temple of Giza. About 19 kilometers from the famous Giza, scientists have discovered a highly enigmatic ancient burial site consisting of 24 sarcophagi, each weighing approximately 100 tons. All of them were crafted from solid Aswan granite, and what distinguishes them is, I would say, their precision akin to jewelry. Their dimensions are also quite impressive, standing 3.5 meters tall, 4 meters in length, and around 2 meters in width. To this day, scientists cannot provide a clear answer as to their purpose and how such finely crafted and precise structures could have been created without modern technology. However, a few Egyptologists believe that these mysterious findings might represent sarcophagi for burying sacred bulls and were crafted by hand. Yet, detailed studies suggest that they simply could not have been made this way, as their surfaces are processed to the limit of modern space-age technology. Marfa Lights, Texas. For over a century, Western Texas has been astonishing local residents and people around the world with one very mysterious phenomenon that remains unexplained to this day. Near the small town of Marfa, from time to time, one can observe strange and inexplicable orbs that glow in the darkness on the horizon. And imagine this. Their completely random, chaotic movement was first recorded by scientists back in 1883, and it continues to this day. The origin of the Marfa lights is still unknown, although some ufologists suggest that these are none other than unidentified flying objects monitoring us. However, As you can understand, skeptics oppose such a theory and try to find a scientific explanation for it. By the way, it would be interesting to hear your opinion on this mysterious scientific discovery. Stainless metal pillar in Delhi, India. Heated debates have been swirling for years around the ancient monument known as the Delhi Pillar, or Maharasula Column. The reason for these debates is that this iron column is completely impervious to the effects of time. Indeed, it has not undergone any corrosion over its 1600 years, despite being made from pure iron. Notably, the pillar stands nearly 19 meters tall and weighs 17 tons. Even more fascinating is that the entire structure is a single, solid piece of iron. Impressive, isn't it? Yet, the question remains open. Why does this metal pillar not rust? Scientists have attempted to explain this by pointing to India's unique climatic conditions. However, the true reasons behind the rust resistance of the Delhi column, as well as its nature of origin, remain elusive. The storm on Jupiter, the Great Red Spot. As our planet was already significantly explored, scientists decided to start researching outer space and even reached other planets. One of the biggest mysteries for the scientific community is the planet Jupiter. The reason for this is the Great Red Spot, a colossal storm discovered in Jupiter's atmosphere, which has fascinated scientists. This storm has been raging for hundreds of years, and research shows that its size is 3 times that of our planet. However, the most crucial aspect is that neither the cause of the storm's emergence nor the process of its continuation has been explained. We can only hope that someday modern society will be able to unravel this mystery. The Benben Stone. In the religious worldview of the ancient Egyptians, the Benben played a very significant role. This stone, believed by scientists to have extraterrestrial origins, was discovered in the Temple of the Phoenix and represented the symbol of the phoenix bird, known for its ability to resurrect and regenerate, and also symbolizing the cyclical nature of the seasons. Modern experts have meticulously studied the stone and concluded that its original form was more rounded and resembled a cone, but over time, it became pyramidal. But why do people talk about the stone's extraterrestrial origin? Historians believe it was an iron meteorite that fell to Earth. What then explains its shape? It's quite simple. Some celestial bodies, when entering our planet's atmosphere, do not rotate but maintain their position. Moreover, upon impact, the physics laws dictate that the front part melts and consequently shifts backwards, giving meteorites a conical shape. To substantiate this, consider the examples of the Ulamet and Meritu meteorites. Delving into history, it's clear that meteorite worship was very prevalent in the ancient Near East. According to legends, there was a sacred site in Heliopolis where the sun first rose. The ancient Egyptians erected a sacred column at this location. After discovering the conical meteorite, people named it Benben and replaced the column with an even more sacred relic. This object soon became central to the ancient Egyptian cult, leading to the construction of the Great Pyramids. However, despite such detailed study of the stone, scientists are still undecided about their theories on who precisely shaped Benben into a perfectly smooth pyramidal form. Moreover, further questions arose after the study of drawings and inscriptions on this artifact, which provided insights into pyramids that were built sometime later. The Black Stone of Kaaba. Kaaba is a sacred structure located in the main mosque of Mecca. It is a building made of stone, carved into the shape of a cube. The dimensions of Kaaba are 12 by 10 meters, and it stands 15 meters tall. However, the entire fascination with this place lies in the fact that embedded in one of the corners of the cube, facing northeast, is the Black Stone, encased in a silver frame. Muslims consider it the focal point of worship, a symbol of Allah's power. According to legend, it was once white but turned black due to the multitude of human sins. This isn't surprising, as pilgrims circumambulate it 7 times, kissing it to absolve themselves of all sins. You might wonder what kind of stone it is. Most scholars speculate it is a meteorite. However, this raises numerous questions. Considering all the cracks in the Black Stone, it cannot be an iron meteorite. Even if one assumes it to be a stony meteorite, there are disappointments. The stone doesn't sink in water. Additionally, according to history, attempts were made to destroy the relic several times. For instance, in 1626, an attempt was made to flood and burn Kaaba, resulting in the Black Stone being split into 15 pieces. It was then restored, cemented together and encased in a silver frame. However, why it was targeted for destruction and its true purpose remain unclear to this day. In summary, the Black Stone is a genuine mystery of the Kaaba. The Great Obelisks of Aksum, Ethiopia. One of the greatest mysteries of our world lies in the northern part of Ethiopia, in the city of Aksum. It is in this area that 176 granite obelisks are located, each towering over 33 meters in height. But the most interesting and astonishing aspect is that all of them were crafted by human hands, approximately 2,000 years ago. It's incredibly hard to believe, but these ancient rectangular columns are carved from solid stone. This raises the question, who and how exactly erected and created such enormous monoliths? It's evident that the ancient Ethiopian natives could not have accomplished this. However, that's not all. Equally impressive is the carved ornamentation on the Aksumite columns. Just imagine. They depict windows, doors, and even beams, simulating the boundaries of floors. It's baffling how the craftsmen of the past could so accurately recreate the appearance of modern multi-story buildings. What's also intriguing is a recent archaeological discovery. Beneath these obelisks lies a sufficiently large platform, 80 meters wide and 20 meters long. Therefore, it's entirely possible that the Aksumite columns are merely the small upper part of some gigantic structure. In other words, the tip of the iceberg. Currently, research is ongoing, but progress has been limited. Scientists have yet to uncover the truth and find answers to their burning questions. Barrows beneath Angkor Wat. Many of you have likely heard of the Angkor civilization and the ancient temple complex of Angkor Wat, located in Cambodia. For many years, scientists believed that this empire, which existed from the 11th to the 15th century, was destroyed by the Thai state of Ayutthaya. However, recent discoveries have led to the abandonment of this theory. It turns out that additional archaeological excavations were conducted within the complex. Thanks to them, it became known that there are several large barrows around Angkor Wat. The results of radiocarbon dating showed fragments of ceramic items and vessels, remnants of burnt food, objects, and many other artifacts from the 12th century. It was during this period that the complex itself, the barrows, and ponds were erected. However, what is astonishing is that all traces of life and activity of the ancient people simply disappeared until the beginning of the 15th century. Why did the people of Angkor move to live in these barrows? How did their lives unfold? And most importantly, why did they decide to return to the surface in the 15th century? All these questions remain unanswered to this day. Bayan Karaula metal pipes. In 1996, archaeologists in China discovered around 20 pipes ranging in diameter from 2 to 40 centimeters. But the most interesting part was that they emerged from the rocky strata. When experts examined their composition, they found a large amount of iron oxide with traces of calcium oxide and silicon dioxide. It's hard to believe, but the estimated age of these pipes was around 5,000 years. This raises the logical question of how and by whom they were made, considering that iron production in China began much later. Nan Madol Archipelago. At first glance, these ruins might seem like nothing more than a creation of nature. However, upon closer inspection, it becomes evident that they were crafted by human hands. Just imagine, the structures here stand at around 3.5 meters tall, and the walls are made of basalt blocks weighing 25 tons each. It's quite impressive, to say the least. But for many years, the question of who could have built such a complex in the middle of the ocean has remained unanswered. The Nan Madol Archipelago, as scientists have named it, was meticulously constructed around the distant year of 1285. But nobody knows by whom exactly. Currently, there are 3 theories about the origin of Nan Madol, but the most realistic one seems to be based on religious motives. For example, it's believed that local inhabitants built this place as a sanctuary for spirits and supernatural forces. Well, why not? However, let's delve deeper. When scientists ponder over the presumed builders and the methods used, the theory of local authorship seems absurd. Why? Because the basalt slabs used to construct the complex were taken from a quarry located a whopping 35 kilometers away. How could ancient people transport and lift such enormous blocks to a significant height? Indeed, for such purposes, the most modern technology would be necessary. In general, to this day, Nan Madol is officially under the protection of UNESCO, but there are still no answers to such elementary questions about its construction. The Japanese megalith Ishi-no Hoden, located in Japan, is a kind of semi-finished product, or in other words, a block left at the site of its immediate manufacture. It's a colossal 600-ton monolithic structure that was carved or cut out of the rock. This ancient, mysterious object continues to attract a lot of attention from the scientific community to this day because of its highly unusual appearance. During the conducted research, scientists started referring to this Japanese monolith as a tomb. However, things were much more complex and puzzling for official history. But why, you may ask? Well, the thing is, none of the experts could explain how the object could have been manufactured in the first place. And that's quite logical, considering that on most of its surface, it's impossible to find any imprints or traces of ancient tools. Moreover, the mysterious find was probed several times, but no empty cavities were found inside it. All of this is due to the nature of the rock, and, it's astonishing how scientists reacted to everything that was happening. Failing to find a logical explanation for Ishi-no Hoden, they simply dubbed the monolith a stone tomb. However, they still haven't explained which civilization, at what time, and with what tool constructed this creation. That's why it's even more puzzling that they classified it as a tomb. And all we can do is hope that someday scientists will uncover the secrets of many archaeological finds, and we'll be able to fully immerse ourselves in the captivating history of the ancient world. The Royal Necklace. In 2015, archaeologists discovered an exceptionally rare artifact, a jade necklace. It was unearthed in southern Belize during excavations at a clay pit. This necklace had a T-shaped form and was covered with 30 hieroglyphs. Later, it was determined to have belonged to a Maya king named Janabu Olkanichu. What surprised scientists the most was that the ornament was found in a settlement located far from the major Maya cities. And to this day, it remains a great mystery to everyone. Interestingly, the necklace also listed the names of the king's parents and connections to the distant, powerful city of Karakol. Another question that intrigued everyone was why such an important piece of jewelry was not buried with its royal owner, but instead found buried beneath the earth, along with some other artifacts. The Cynocephalus imitator. In 2011, a 1,500-year-old amulet was discovered in Cyprus, believed to protect its owner from various threats. Interestingly, the artifact has two sides. One side features a palindrome written in Greek. The other side displays images of some Egyptian figures, for instance, a mummy on a boat that could be taken for the god Osiris, the god of silence. Harpocrates sits calmly on a chair, and in front of him is a cynocephalus with a dog's head. Yet, in this seemingly simple scene of Egyptian art, modern scientists have found inexplicable facts. For example, the dog-headed figure's paws are typically depicted as raised, in a gesture of worship towards the god of silence. However, on the amulet, it mimics the hand gesture of the god, which signifies silence. Interestingly, these two historical figures are depicted with strange lines resembling bandages, as if they were also mummies. This simply could not be, nor could it be that Harpocrates was supposed to be sitting not on a chair, but on a lotus. These facts leave the scene shrouded in mystery. Or it could be assumed that the creator of the amulet had a poor understanding of Egyptian mythology. The Women of the Grey Friars. In 2012, researchers in Leicester, England, uncovered a medieval church of the Grey Friars and the skeleton of the lost King Richard III. A year later, they discovered 4 graves on this site, and everyone assumed they would contain the remains of monks or knights, as it was essentially a male monastery. However, when the lead coffins were unearthed, it turned out that they contained the bodies of women showing signs of high status who lived between the 13th and 14th centuries. One of them was elderly. 2 were of middle age. The age of the last could not be determined. Their identities also remain a great mystery to scientists, who hope that they will soon be able to discover who these women really were. The structure in Monmouth. Have you ever heard of the town of Monmouth near Elsie? Perhaps not, yet it has been famous for its archaeological findings for many years. In 2012, researchers discovered the foundation of a massive structure near the edge of an ancient lake. At this site, gigantic trees cut in half were found, which had remained in the clay long after their decomposition. They were too large to serve as crossbeams for a house's foundation and were located in the center of the lake. This serves as strong evidence that they once supported a huge bridge leading to an artificial island. Prior to this discovery, researchers had never recorded anything similar in any part of Europe. What could it have been? The only clue to solving this mystery turned out to be what was found in the older archaeological layers beneath the beams. Scientists speculated that the mysterious foundation might date back to the Bronze Age. But whether it truly was an ancient bridge around 4,000 years old remains unknown. Amazonian geoglyphs. In the Amazon rainforest, completely by chance after tree felling, it was discovered that over 450 giant-sized geoglyphs are scattered across an area of 33,000 square kilometers. But even any hypothesis about their use confounds researchers. It might be assumed that there were villages there in the past, but very few artifacts have been found at the sites of the geoglyphs. Could they have been some kind of primitive forts? Also, no, as they would likely have a different layout. According to some studies, indigenous builders about 2,000 years ago temporarily cleared the forest to create their unusual earth structures. Previously, trees were not cut down indiscriminately as they are now. People only took those trees considered valuable species, and in this case, these were palms. The Amazonian geoglyphs are distinguished from others by signs of periodic visits, indicating that ancient people might have used them as gathering points. Neanderthals of La Côte de Saint-Brelade. For many centuries and countless generations, Neanderthals returned to one place, the cave of La Côte de Saint-Brelade, located on the coast of Jersey. Historically, ancient humans have made epic migrations to this place for 140,000 years. But here's the most interesting part. None of the scientists can explain this scientifically. Recently, a team of researchers tried again to find out what made the cave so attractive to ancient hominids. Unfortunately, they have not been able to achieve significant success. Ancient humans could travel long distances through changing landscapes, through changing times and climatic conditions. All this was determined by studying the tools, stone artifacts, and mammoth bones found in that cave, and comparing them with the places where they were made, and from where they were transported. Most of such routes are currently under the English Channel. The shelter could somehow be connected with the constant returns of ancient people. Yet it could not be the only reason for this. Scientists have a lot of work ahead to thoroughly understand this issue. Middle Eastern dolmen art. In Israel, archaeologists made a surprising discovery. Studying a field of dolmens, or in simple terms, stone burial chambers in Kibbutz Shamir, they singled out one among 400 dolmens that was completely unique, unlike any other. It replicated the shape of a table, like all the others, but its dimensions were truly enormous, weighing over 50 tons. Such a large structure had never been seen before in the Middle East, but the biggest mystery was the 15 carvings on the ceiling of the dolmen's inner chamber. These drawings were made in the form of straight lines. Who made them and why remains a huge mystery for the entire country. The Sichos Complex. Historian Tamara Estupiña spent many years studying ancient economic texts. It was thanks to this that she found a 400-year-old book containing a will from Atahualpa to his son. The last Inca ruler met a violent end back in 1532, and his body disappeared without a trace. But Tamara decided to unravel this complex case and conducted an investigation. It turned out that a military commander of the Incas named Rumiñavia was suspected of committing this crime, hiding treasures, and meeting with other influential Inca representatives in Sichos. She was very surprised by the fact that meetings of important figures took place in remote Ecuador, so the historian decided to revisit the will. After studying it, she noticed a very interesting detail. Sichos was once the property of Atahualpa. In 2010, Tamara Estupiña set out with a team of archaeologists to see the remains of Atahualpa, but instead, the specialists could only find new Inca ruins. Now, to find the place where the body of the renowned ruler rests, additional information and new research of ancient texts will be required. The Sungir burials. Sungir stands as one of the oldest human settlements located in the Russian plain. Notably, nothing else compares to its wealth and preservation. A discovery at Sungir, made in 1964, suddenly drew attention from archaeologists and historians worldwide. A female skull was found, followed by the skeleton of an elderly male. Around their graves, generous amounts of red ochre were sprinkled, along with a pendant made of pebble, numerous bracelets made from mammoth ivory, and various beads. Nearby lay fur clothing, finely crafted knives, and scrapers. 5 years later, archaeologists unearthed another burial, even more intriguing than the previous. In its upper part rested a skull-less skeleton, surrounded by beads made of ivory, antlers of a northern deer, and a bone ring. However, the most intriguing finds were the ceremonial discs associated with the cult of the sun and the moon. The attire of the children, adorned with over 10,000 tiny beads, garnered the greatest attention from scholars. This discovery served as compelling evidence of the complexity of the burial rites of ancient Sungarians, as well as the uniqueness of their religious beliefs. It's worth noting that excavations at the settlement are ongoing to this day. The Sajama Lines. Few are aware that the mountain plains in western Bolivia are marked by thousands of perfectly straight lines. Strangely, these lines do not form any discernible figures but stretch for tens of kilometers. It must be admitted, whoever created them did an extraordinarily meticulous job. Charting these lines across a hilly landscape riddled with rocks, bushes, and other natural obstacles was no simple feat. It's also noteworthy that these lines are nearly invisible from the ground. However, from an aerial perspective, one can appreciate the profound mystery of the largest prehistoric artwork in the world. Imagine, the width of a line can range from 1 to 3 meters, while their lengths vary from a few to several kilometers. Some researchers even suggest that these radial centers served as sites for ancient sanctuaries. It's hard to believe, but the Sajama lines cover an area of 22,000 square kilometers, which is 15 times larger than the famous Nazca lines in southern Peru. Despite this, remarkably few studies have been dedicated to the Sajama lines. In fact, the first brief mention of them in English appeared only in 1932. The first real scientific investigations of this artwork were conducted in 2003 by scholars working at the University of Pennsylvania in collaboration with the Monument Fund. Since then, no significant studies have been conducted in the area. Apart from satellite screenshots, there isn't even a decent photograph of the mysterious Sajama lines. The Jar Valley. Located in the Laotian province of Xiangkuang is an incredible national landmark known as the Jar Valley, which is still very poorly understood to this day. It is remarkable for the hundreds of large granite vessels emerging from the ground, with diameters ranging from half a meter to 3 meters and weights reaching up to 6 tons. Additionally, stone discs found near some of these jars were likely used as lids. Their origin remains a mystery to scientists, except for the fact that the valley was discovered in the 1930s by a French archaeologist. The purpose of these vessels is still debated. There are 2 main hypotheses. The first suggests that similar vessels have been found in Thailand and northern India, located near roads that were once busy trade routes. Thus, it is possible that these granite containers were used by traders to store goods or simply fresh water, especially since rainfall is scarce in these regions. The second hypothesis proposes that the Jar Valley served as a sort of mortuary, with the bodies of the deceased stored inside the vessels. Some historians believe that the remains decomposed over time and were subsequently buried in the ground. Nonetheless, there is still no definitive answer. Some might wonder why no further excavations have been conducted. The reason is that the Vietnam War and its aftermath hindered further exploration. During the conflict, the valley was repeatedly bombed by the United States Air Force, destroying many of the vessels. Moreover, the land still contains unexploded ordnance, which occasionally harms local residents. Regrettably, this is the case. However, there is no need to worry too much, as the Laotian government is gradually clearing the remnants of war from the foothills of the Anamansan Ridge. For instance, tourists can already visit 3 sites with these remarkable jars today. Camazots, Maya. In the state of Chiapas, Mexico, lies the town of Sinacantan, inhabited by the Tzotzil ethnic group, which belongs to the Maya family. These people are often referred to as Bat People. Delving into history, the cult of Camazots began around the 100th year BC among the Zapotec in Mexico, who worshipped an anthropomorphic monster with the body of a human and the head of a bat. This god quickly found its place among the Maya tribe, who lived in the jungles now known as Guatemala and Honduras. In 2014, Warner Bros. Entertainment organized an exhibition featuring 30 artists. Their main task was to reinterpret Batman. One of the masters was Christian Pacheco, owner of the visual design office Kimball, located in Yucatan. His studio created a replica of the bust that Bruce Wayne wears to become the Batman. Christian based his work on Maya history and the concept of what Camazotz would be like in real life. His creation caused a real sensation and admiration. This bust was displayed at the Mexican Museum of Design at the Batman exhibition in 2015. The Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is a cloth into which, according to ancient Eastern customs, the body of the crucified Christ was wrapped before burial. And I think many know that on the third day the apostles found it in the burial cave, devoid of the body of the resurrected Savior. For many centuries, the Shroud of Turin has remained one of the most mysterious enigmas of all mankind. Serious study of this relic began just over a century ago. Many church figures, from the 4th to the 10th century, mention the image of Christ on the longcloth, but without going into detail. Moreover, even modern scientific research of the 20th century has not been able to fully clarify the situation. The fact is that the shroud bears the full-length image of a man, the nature of whose origin remains unknown to science. Currently, this relic is kept in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, and many pilgrims from around the world strive to see it in person, to witness this incredible and even mystical find. It is worth noting that for the scientific community, the question of the authenticity of the Shroud of Turin becomes more interesting each year. Perhaps the only consensus among scholars is that the current level of scientific development does not provide a clear answer to the numerous questions associated with the origin of the shroud. That's all for today. Don't forget to like this video and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.